listening to the Danger Tapes podcast with your host, Devin Ramos.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Danger Tapes podcast. My name is Devin Ramos, and it's been a couple weeks since I've done one. I think like two, which actually isn't too bad considering the last break that I went on, but I definitely did want to do one this week, and perhaps even another one tonight after I upload this podcast, but we'll see how that goes. Anyways, haven't been up to much. I think... let's see. Gosh, time's really been flying these last 2-3 months. Let's see, what have I done? I did go to Amoeba a couple weeks ago. Amoeba Records, and that was, as always, it was a lot of fun. I think before that, I actually went to Oinkster, and I tried their breakfast burrito. Now, I don't really know Oinkster for their breakfast burritos. I'll get back to Amoeba in a second, but I don't really know Amoeba for the Oinkster for their breakfast burritos. My favorite things to eat there are really their fries, and their burgers are really good too. They have a lot of really good sauces. I absolutely love their ketchup at Oinkster. I think it's house made. Oh man, it's so good. But they had advertised on their Instagram that they were going to have breakfast burritos. This was a Sunday morning. And endless mimosas, which I wasn't really feeling a mimosa the night before. I had actually went drinking, and I was in where were we? I was in downtown with Karina, and we went drinking downtown. We took Uber, bar hopped a little bit. I had 3 shots. I had like 2 or 3 shots and a lot of beer. And I got pretty drunk that night. I got really drunk that night, and we had a lot of fun bar hopping all these different bars. The most notable one for me, and I'm kind of all over the place right now, but all this is adding up to something bigger. The most notable one for me was this one. I can't even remember the name of it, and I don't want to look it up right now, but I'm gonna. Let's see if I can talk about it for a second before I go on about it. Anyways, we went to this bar off of a whim. I think like we were just looking around for one. It didn't even look like there were any more bars on the block that we were at. Finally, we found this neon sign that Oh, hold on, I know how to find it. I know, because the Uber driver texted me when Crane's Bar in downtown. That bar was the shit, because we had went to a couple different ones. They were okay, they were nice. There was a fancy one, and it was kind of not my scene. We had like 2 drinks there. We left. We went to this one after, and it was kind of it's a little hipster. It was okay, though. The people were really cool there. We had talked to this one girl that said she was like a graphic designer through like some firm in which they were actually contracted by Nike a lot, and she was really cool. But finally we went to this one bar called Crane's Bar, and you had to go down a flight of stairs. It might have been like an old speakeasy at one point. But man, this bar was so cool. Like, we went in, the DJ was playing 90s hip-hop, pretty much everything that's always been in my playlist since, like, I've been in high school. Like, all the hip-hop shit that I've come to like over the years. The shit that got me into hip-hop, just everything, he was playing it. The dude sitting next to us, you could tell he was, like, into it, too. He was wearing an MF Doom t-shirt. And the bartenders are really cool there, too. That's where I had a shot of Jack Honey, which is really coming to be my favorite. Considering the alternative, which everybody else seems to like, again, which is Fireball or whatever variants of Fireball. Me, honestly, I actually prefer Jack Fire. It's a little bit more and you get a lot less, but it tastes a hell of a lot better. But Jack Honey is actually becoming like a staple in my night of drinking. And so me and Karina had a shot of Jack Honey and a couple drinks there, and it was fun. I danced. At that point I was already pretty wasted. But we had a lot of fun there. So the next day we were actually we were still in LA, and we were planning to go to Amoeba. So I was really hungry. I probably hadn't eaten since like 6 or 7 the night before. I still had a lot of liquor in my stomach. So we go to we were kind of waiting outside of Oinkster because for whatever reason they open at 11. I kind of feel like they should open at 10. But so we went to Oinkster and we had 2 breakfast burritos. I mean, 1 each. And their salsa was pretty good. It could have been a little bit spicier, but it was pretty good. And one of the other reasons I wanted to go to Oinkster that morning was because they had also advertised that they had their shake of the month, which was an Almond Joy. And when I asked the guy about it, he had told me like they got their coconuts from some like small island or something. And I'm a big fan of coconut. I think with coconut, most people are either for it or against it. I am definitely for it. There's no in between. I will eat coconut anything. So I tried the milkshake there. It was really good. I tried sharing it with her, but I mean, because I knew like I was going to get like this really bad sugar crash, which I kind of did. I was kind of able to ride it out though. But the shake was fantastic. I loved it. I don't usually get shakes from Oinkster just because they're usually really, really sweet, and it's kind of hard for me to do really sweet these days, but I really need to try this one because of the coconut. Anyways, so we went to Amoeba. I picked up a few jazz records, which I was really happy about because I'm really trying to expand my jazz collection as far as, vinyl goes. And I found some pretty good deals. I think I paid at most like $8 for jazz records, for one jazz record. I can't even remember the names right now. It's been like I said, it's been a while. But I'll post some pictures on Instagram, of course. But yeah, I picked up a few jazz records. I actually got out of there paying like maybe $40 or $50, which is not bad compared to the other times I've been there and paid like $80 or even like up to like $150 in music and movies and all that shit. Also, what I did buy there were 2 movies that were actually in my collection, but I had loaned out and then just never got them back. Or actually, my brother has one of them, which was Escape from New York and City of God, which is one of my personal favorites. And we ended up watching City of God that day. It had been at least 5 or 6 years since I've seen it. It's kind of a long movie, but it's really worth committing to. Especially since it's in Portuguese and whatnot. But it's a really dope movie if you haven't seen City of God. That's like a must see of movies that have been made in like the last. I think it was made in like 2005. Just movies that have been made in like the last 15 years. That is definitely a must see. And I think that in the 2000s there's a lot less must sees, and that is definitely a movie that you have to go buy it. It should only cost you like $5 if you buy it on Amazon. It might even be on Netflix. I probably didn't even need to buy it. Watch City of God. It is worth watching. But that was it. That was it for LA. I actually do want to go back to Amoeba, and I want to go back to Rhino Records. I haven't been there in a while. Last night, before I went to bed, I was looking at the list that was released for Record Store Day, and I was pretty impressed. Actually, I'm lying. There was only one record on there that really caught my attention, and this is going to be a definite buy for me. I've gotten introduced to the band. I think it's pronounced Shushu, Xiu. they had a few renditions of Nina Simone's music, and I have one of their other albums too, but they're kind of out there. They're kind of experimental, maybe even avant-garde if you could call them, but they have a record coming out with their takes on the Twin Peaks soundtrack. And last year I watched the entire series of Twin Peaks plus Twin Peaks Firewalk with me, and I'm a huge fan now. I respect, when I watched it, I had already liked David Lynch, but I had like watching Twin Peaks had made me like David Lynch that much more, because Twin Peaks was just such a, oh man, it was such a different show from such a different era. I think what we know of TV shows now, with, you know, shows like Breaking Bad or The Walking Dead, or you know, House of Cards or Daredevil, like Twin Peaks was just a show unto its own. It was just there was so much style and so much substance to it. The best description I've ever heard somebody say of Twin Peaks was, it's when you want to watch a TV show, it's when you want to watch The X-Files and a soap opera at the same time. And that style that they came across with in Twin Peaks was just such a perfect style. You would never think to put those two styles together, from science fiction and like that soap opera-y kind of feel to it. Oh man, it's just perfect. I would definitely watch that series again. The second season's a little long, but it's the first season is definitely worth watching. It's only like 8 episodes. Just, it's so fucking weird. But yeah, I think that's really all I've been up to. I know that was kind of long-winded, but I feel like I really need to get into these things a little bit more, which is cool. I think that, you know, the busier I get, the less that I do in my recreational life. So that was what I've done. Like, that was really worth noting. I'm doing this in my car, by the way, again. And I don't have any water, so I'm already kind of getting parched. And yeah, I should have brought some water today because it's kind of hot outside. I'm doing this at my school of Cal State San Bernardino, and it's already getting warm. I think the people that are saying that global warming doesn't exist, like, come on. Like, I'm not going to get into it, but come on. Like, it's getting hot. And we're, like, not even into mid-March yet. I did enjoy the cold weather that we had for, like, the last 3 days. To me, that was perfect. But other than that, like, come on. Yeah, so now that most of my money has gone to LA, that was all my tax money, by the way. But I also have I also got a pretty good return. Like, I'm not going to brag or say how much I got, but I got a pretty good return this year. And I also have like a little something coming from my work in the next couple weeks. But I've kind of, I don't even want to say I stepped up my shoe game, because my shoe game is kind of the same from when I started collecting sneakers. But what I am doing is I'm trying to find more of a uniform style in both my wardrobe and in my sneakers. And what I mean by that is that I'm trying not to buy so many different ones, which is really hard because I like a lot of different sneakers. Among my favorites, which I'm wearing a pair right now, are the Nike Dunks. Always a solid buy. Always. If you get them in the right size and they don't crease, they're perfect. Nike Dunks, Nike Air Flight 89s, and just Vans are always a good choice. But I'm trying not to buy so many different, like, all over the place sneakers. And it's hard. But there's a reason behind it, and there's a bigger idea behind me buying different colorways of the same sneaker. A, because in my wardrobe, I'm trying to wear only black, white, or gray tees. I feel like when I do that, it makes it much easier to not so much match my sneakers, but it makes it that much easier to get ready. I also just pretty much just wear jeans, so it's just black t-shirt, jeans, and Nikes or Vans or Adidas. And really the only Adidas I'm fucking with right now are the tubulars, which I have a pair of the tubular X's, and I have my eye on another pair of the tubular X's. I don't want to go into the tubular radials or the tubular novas just yet. As much as I like the tubular radials, I just feel like it's going to clash with everything I have, and I don't want that. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to spend a lot less on clothes. And I'm buying a lot of other bullshit clothes, I should say, because I want to buy quality t-shirts to where I can wash them a lot and they're just going to last a really long time. But with that, I'm able to spend more on quality items like jackets, Nikes even, Adidas when they come out, a pair of Yeezys if I ever manage to get a pair, my hands on a pair. So that's what I'm trying to do with my wardrobe, because I really like buying jackets. Like, jackets are always really dope to buy, especially when they go with like all the shit you already have. Like, that's perfect in my opinion. And you spend like a lot less on like bullshit other items. Like, why do I need a t-shirt that has some bullshit logo on it? I don't. If I manage to come across one with a Nike logo or something that's kind of cool, like maybe I'll buy it. But even now, like, I'm getting ready just to toss out all my logo t-shirts and just buy like strictly black t-shirts. That's how like dedicated I am to this idea. Not all black, because once summer comes around I'm going to be like completely fucked just because it's so hot. But excuse me. But yeah, so with my tax return this year, I mostly focused on I knew I was going to buy sneakers. I focused on buying some of my grails, which if you're not a sneaker collector, a grail is something that, you know, is kind of hard to obtain, something that you've always wanted but maybe it was out of your budget, you know, just couldn't get your hands on at the time. And a lot of people will say, oh, my grails are Yeezys, or my grails are this, or my grails are that. But for somebody that's been collecting sneakers for a little over 10 years now, it's been about 10 years. For somebody that's been collecting sneakers like myself, my grails are a little bit harder to obtain. A lot of people, you know, when they say that their grails are this or that, like, you know, go for it. Like, more power to you. But a lot of people are newer collectors, therefore their grails are something that are kind of easy to obtain if you just save your money for a couple weeks. Mine are a little less easy, because now that my grails are, you know, close to 10 years old, I have two choices. I could either buy a really beat up pair, or I could buy a pair that is pretty much never been worn. And I did both. I did it with the Nike Dunk Untold Truth, and I'll post a picture of these on Instagram so you know what the fuck I'm talking about. But it was a Nike Dunk Untold Truth Memphis edition, which I've had my eye on for about 6 or 7 years now. And they have like this really nice beige and brown colorway to them with red laces. And they were really, I kind of fucked up. I paid maybe about $15 more than I should have, just because of the quality that they were in. I fixed them up enough to where if you're not looking close enough at them, they actually look really nice. But if the closer you look, the more you look like they've actually been worn for a long time. But I won't say how much I paid for them. Well, I will, because I don't want you thinking I paid like $200 or something. I paid $50 for them, but they weren't really worth $50. They were maybe worth like $25 or $30. So I bought those and I fixed them up. They look pretty good. The purchase that I'm absolutely proud of, and this is something that I've been wanting since they came out, and like I can't even remember, I think maybe 2007, 2008, were the Nike Dunk Pee Wee Herman editions. And this is like almost strictly gray, with leather on the toe. I'm wearing them right now, actually. And the thing that like absolutely ties it all together is the red tag that looks like Pee Wee Herman's bow tie. For me, this has been just a sneaker that I've off and on had my eye on. And you know what? I got my tax return. I was looking at sneakers that I've always wanted. I looked at new sneakers, and I'm like, yeah, I could throw down, I could put a pair of Yeezys on my credit card and just, put a big chunk of cash into my credit card and just pay it off within the next 6 months. Yeah, I could buy a pair of Jordans. Jordans are always a good choice if you have a good selection of Jordans. I don't, so I'd feel like I'd just be starting something that doesn't really go with my wardrobe already. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to look into the Nike Dunk Pee Wee Herman edition. And I found a couple pairs on eBay. None of them were really beat up, which was really good. So it was really tough to choose which one was going to be better, which one I was going to pay less for. And I found my size. And I thought, they have on eBay, they have this thing called Make an Offer. And I found one from Canada, and I made an offer for it. I paid $150 for them, and I was okay with that because they were in really good condition. I figure if I had bought them when they first came out, I probably would have paid about $120. But 6 or 7 years down the line, 8, 9, 10 years down the line, to find a pair that looks this good. And these were really rare when they came out. So I probably would have paid about the same amount of money anyways at $150, just, from a third party or something. I was okay with paying $150. I was okay with it. I felt like it was a good purchase. And I was patiently waiting for them to come in. They came in last week. And actually wore them to Sally had the fight at his house and actually wore them to his house. But when they came in, I was just so impressed with the quality, because they are really good quality. Nike Dunk SBs are always quality sneakers, and I was happy with them. I'm really happy with them. I could confidently say it was a good idea for me to spend $150. Other people may say I'm an idiot. Other people say, well, you could have got some damn Daniels, or you could have got some other Vans or whatever, which I actually have a pair of Vans old school. And I like them, but for way less. Other people could say that. And you know what? They'd be right. I would have been just as happy, but I felt like this was the best purchase for me. This is what I like. And honestly, I want other sneakers right now. I want a pair of Tubular X's that are actually on sale right now. But I'm not compelled to go buy them right now, which is nice because I have one of my Grails, and that's one of the nice things about obtaining a pair of Grails. As far as my Grail list goes, there was these Pee Wees and the Nike Dunk MF Dooms, which I am not comfortable paying that price for right now. A pair of brand new Nike MF Dooms are like $250 to $300, and maybe if I'm drunk one night and my credit card is where I want it to be at, maybe. But that was it. Anyways, I wore these Nike Dunks to Sally's party, and had a lot of Jack Honey there. A lot of Jack Honey, a lot of Fireball. I will say this though, as I'm wrapping up this podcast, because right now I'm about at 24 minutes, which I'm surprised. And I actually have to go to class in another 20 minutes. But Sally was streaming the fight through a Fire Stick. For those that do know, and for those that don't know, the Fire Stick can be hacked, so that you could get any movie, any pay-per-view event for free. For free. You pay the $60, maybe an additional $20 to have somebody hack it for you, and you have everything for free for the rest until they block it out. My thing with the Fire Stick, and it actually becomes kind of a caveat of it, is that the way a Fire Stick runs is not the same as the way DirecTV runs. it runs based on servers. So, just like Netflix. But when you watch Netflix, you're able to watch anything you want to watch because Netflix has tons of servers to where everybody can watch exactly what they want to watch with no hiccups. Boom. No problem. Hulu does the same thing. HBO Now kind of has that. And there's no problems. You can watch it. Very, 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 very easy to watch. The Fire Stick runs off the same thing. However, what the Fire Stick does is instead of having 100, or 1,000 different servers to take to God, I can't even think of the word. Instead of having 1,000 servers so that 1,000 people could use, they have maybe 2 servers running one program. Now, if you're just watching a movie, if you just want to watch City of God or whatever off of your Fire Stick, sure. I'm sure there's not that many people watching City of God on a Fire Stick. So it probably streams in HD and it probably looks really good. But if you're watching a pay-per-view fight like the Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz fight, you're going to have some problems, which I felt kind of bad because Sally had a lot of problems with his Fire Stick. You could not, it didn't stream well at all. And I know probably other people with Fire Sticks were having the same issue, but there was just no server space to watch stuff like that. So that's how they get you. That's how they get you, because you're not getting your own private feed like you would be from DirecTV or whatever. So yeah, you can spend your $80, but just know, and it's funny because when people buy the Fire Stick, they say it with like this attitude, like, oh man, I got the Fire Stick and I don't have to pay anything. Like, I can watch anything I want for free. And you're like, well, that's cool, but I don't really have a Fire Stick, and I just use the Apple TV and I pay for Netflix and Hulu, and that's really it. Oh no, but I don't pay for any of that with the Fire Stick. With the Fire Stick, I can do it. Okay, well, that's cool. I kind of know that there's bound to be some hiccups because nothing is 100% when it comes to free. And there was a lot of hiccups with it. There was a lot of hiccups, but it was a good night. It was a good night. I was excited to see my chums, which I hadn't seen in almost a month. I saw Ryan maybe a couple weeks before, actually a week before we went to LA, and we were supposed to see him in LA, but he wasn't able to make it. I was supposed to see Sally in LA, and he wasn't able to make it. So I was really excited to see them that day, and it turned out to be a really good night. Some idiot spilled beer on my shoe, but I cleaned it off. They look still just as good. You can't even tell that the Pee Wee Hermans had beer on the shoe. So that was like the last 3 weeks. I've been bowling a lot, but as I found a way to twist that into a better story, I'll mention it more. But yeah, that was like the last 3 weeks since the last podcast. So this will probably be up I don't know when. Doesn't matter, because if you've gotten to this point, you've already listened to the whole fucking thing. So yeah, thank you guys for listening to this episode. I gotta go to class. Catch you guys later.
Inside is all white, this dro is pure life. Skating through these nugs at an all-time high. Rolling down on both sides, we smoking while we drive. PCH Interstate, new tags on the license plate. All legal, mobbing like a beetle. All black paint, John Carter, Coupe, Don Cheadle. Ramos with the sample, record in a needle. Had to rock a wear denim, shout out to Beanie Siegel. Now back to this weed I spark, flow dope. It's like hearing Heron talk. Green trees like the jungle, whole team in a huddle. No squares allowed in our bubble, you motherfuckers. Buffing all day, all night. 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 Look. Might wanna focus up, you know it's us. Nerdy Nation, only in the fly we trust. Bare arms and we can knuckle up whatever you want. Eyes low, feeling like Jackie Chan with the pump. Do my own stunts, hit home runs, I never bunt. Jet back, well, bad stats, I'm clutch like Berkman. Niggas wanna shine without putting work in Sub-Zero and story mode, giving out perfects. Ice kicks and uppercuts, fatals make them nervous. I'm S-Cry Ed, a whole nother person. Fashion stampede, my trench coat orange. Looking like a Bengal, I'm Fontes, perfect. Fuck being good, I'm trying to be great. Fuck eggs, nigga, I'm trying to eat steak. Lobster tail in the creme brulee. I rock my own gear and I love pussy in my face. Say.